Local, every culture, every country, everywhere has a big basis around eating a certain type of meat. Every country's maybe different type of meat,
we've become lax on the idea that it's not going to be sustainable. It's not always going to be there. We don't care for the types of animals and species that we do have, and that includes a cow to a rhino. We have to take care and maintain these animals because there has to be a balance in nature. It's like now. Look at the amounts of jellyfish that rise to the top of the surface of the ocean and grow in mass ponds. Why did they do that? Because the ocean temperature has risen because we haven't taken care of the planet. So now we have this mass amount of jellyfish that are intrusions on the ocean, and they're causing eco problems for other species. So we're now losing species because we've done wrong to the planet. And this species is now
what's the biggest cause of climate change of CO2 emissions? Animal agriculture.
Not only are we affecting the species by ingestion, but we're also affecting the species by just naturally living. I mean, if you're going to screw it up all the way, apparently, because we're doing a great job not to even just kill animals, we're doing a great job to allow other species of animals to prosper that shouldn't because they harm other species.
It is, but animal agriculture is the biggest cause of that. It's the biggest cause of CO2 emissions, the biggest cause of climate change. Far beyond transport and all that stuff.
How do I take it off?
It's animal agriculture, and it's not a necessity anymore. If you stop eating it, you stop supporting the industries. That's the thing. You can vote for whichever government you want, but it doesn't make much difference. The way you put your pound, your dollar, that's what makes the difference. So what you're paying for every day in the supermarket, that's what's going to continue to be supported. So you stop paying.
So that's why they give you those stupid cards. The reason they give you those cards for Safeway and Loans and all these other places is because they keep track of everything you buy. Everything that you eat, it's right there.
If you stop buying animal flesh, then they'll stop killing animals. Then we'll stop raising animals. We'll stop causing the pollution in the sky.
But, I mean, even culturally, scientifically dead animals, we're using them as a natural resource, and we're using it over up on the South Pole. Where does it come from? It comes from dinosaurs. It's a species of fossil that is liquefied because of the larva that is underground. Okay, so we're still using dinosaurs as a source of fuel, but that's how much we don't care about other species other than but no more do we care about our species than we do about another species. Man's survival has always been self-indulged.
Oh yeah, otherwise we wouldn't survive, right? That's my point, is that we're beyond that now. And we can live abundantly, we don't need to kill animals. We can harvest fruit from the trees.
For centuries upon centuries upon centuries. The difference today is social media. Because we have a social equity to find all of these different locations and places where we can see how we're killing off species, how other animals are going extinct in places. Rainforests in South America are being demolished. I mean, we're changing their environment, their habitat. We're taking away from their natural environment to live. But the whole thing is it's a balanced cycle. If they can't live properly, we can't live properly.
Right.
We need them, but we have to maintain a certain amount of it. But the whole problem is we don't maintain.
We overindulge. We pay for too many things. We're not aware of the consequences of those, what we're paying for, what goes on behind the scenes, like all the palm oil and everything. All the destruction of the forest is for palm oil to grow palm trees, to get palm oil out for cheap produce, shitty biscuits and cookies and cereals and things. And it's like, as long as we're paying for that still, and we're not aware, it's not our fault. We don't know that when we're paying for that, we're paying for the destruction of the rainforest. And the government doesn't tell us. It's,
we're so advanced in technology, but we're so behind on technology. We can create crap like this. But we talk about recycling. We have recycling cans and bins, but it costs us 3 times as much to recycle. Because we can't find products that we can use, that we can maintain to continue to keep using over and over and over. And that's the same with animals. If we continually keep using these animals over and over and over as a source of life for ourselves, because we also have to realize that there are medications that come from certain animals that we can't get that are naturally good for our lives. There are certain pheromones and chemicals that animals produce for cancer, for leukemia, for different types of...
Yeah, but why not avoid all those diseases by eating whole foods, whole plant foods?
The biggest cause of all the illness in America is too much animal protein.
Yeah, it's almost ironic that the animals have the medicine to save you, but they're also killing you. That's causing the disease. So It's karma, you know. And the ethical side is it's just not
look
there.
At the balance also. If we are a straight vegetation society,
Yeah.
even though we don't have the sustainability for the land because of the mass population, you grow all this vegetation, you would have to try to continue to keep growing. The problem is with the climate rise and the way we've treated our
I don't think the climate's rising that high.
we're damaging the earth, so we're producing less. The other problem with that is when you start cutting down all these rainforests and everything else,
Yeah.
you take away the natural habitat of these animals. When you're taking away the natural habitat, you're taking away the vegetation.
Right.
When you take away the vegetation, it starves these animals.
It's a vicious cycle. I agree.
We're competing with another species of animal to feed ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we're not producing enough vegetables and whole foods.
Vegetables and whole foods are a lot. Vegan diet is 18 times less land to produce to maintain.
Right.
The amount of space we need to have cows to roam free and all these free-range animals that we kill to eat. That all that land could be used way more economically. And not on top of that, it's the grain we grow to feed the animals. All that land needed, we could feed. You know, there wouldn't be world hunger if everyone lived this way.
Well said.
Yeah.
Doesn't it take up more water to feed?
Oh, it's the water as well.
Water to grow the feed.
Yeah, it's everything.
The water to irrigate the land alone just for the grains to feed the cattle is insane. That's why all the other places are starving. All those.
I can see that view, and I believe it. But the part that I do believe is, and I always stick to it, is to maintain a balance. Because I can't say you're wrong for what you love, but I'm not going to sit there and say you're right for what you believe as well. Because
that would mean that you would have to admit that eating meat is wrong, and you'd have to admit something in your life.
I would have to admit that I like what I like.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give it up.
But I like meat, but it's the same. If I took heroin, I'd probably feel good, you know. But I know that it's not.
What's easy is I can admit that this is absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
All right, this is taking my life.
But not just your life, the people around you.
Absolutely. But at the same time, that substance of meat is a balance. And that balance is something I grew up culturally in trying to affect or change the mind of someone like me to say no meat.
I understand that. Yeah.
It's like, it's not great to say no meat. What it is to say, cut back.
Yeah.
Do less.
And is it for some people?
And change the world in increments of
Some people can't cut back.
because it's the next generation if you teach.
Yeah.
It's the next generation that you teach, and the one after that, and the one after that. And once you do that, you set a platform, a platform of people that understand that meat is not always the best way.
I gotta say something. It took me 10 years to finally give up meat. I was very addicted to it. And I have to say, it's because of me. Now my children have that opportunity not to. It's because of me. So, yeah, you do have to convince the adults too, because it was because of me that my children stopped it. And I was the only source for that. Otherwise, they would continue to be eating meat till today. So that's 3 children that are not eating meat because I was convinced. So you do have to convince the people now too. And it does take time. It's not, and I think we should give them time. I don't think we should just expect it overnight.
But it's good,
that's where
and
I
it's
have
okay that people say right now, I'm not going to give up eating meat, and that's okay. What they need to learn is
scale back. To scale back.
Let's take it in moderation.
Yeah.
Let's find a way. That
some people can't.
We cut it back,
but some people can't.
On our children and their children.
Some people are addicted.
Until eventually we cut it back so much that we maintain an environment of species where we coexist. Not with just the animals that live around us, but with the species of plants that provide the animals to help build those plants. Because without certain types of animals, we lose more species of plants and vegetation than anything.
Well, I have to say something. It's an addiction also, and some people can't scale. It's like wine or alcohol. They can't do a little bit. They have to do it all or nothing. And if you were to have meat without any salt or sauces on it, it probably tastes like crap. And they also put a lot of pink dye so it could look nice. It's really rotting flesh.
Even the word meat, man, it's a euphemism. Steak, euphemism. Bacon, it's animal flesh. It is. When we call it what it is.
You used to say it's cow instead of a steak. You should say it's cow.
It just seems a bit barbaric. I gave up 3 years ago. I love it. I still smell it and I want to eat it. I smell ribs, barbecue, anything. I like the smell of it. I want to eat it, but I just realized
he's more conscious now.
Yeah, I don't know. I became more empowered, and I saw the suffering of the animals. That's what it came down to for me. Because some people can do it for the environment or for health or whatever, but I wouldn't want. I couldn't kill a chicken. Maybe that's it. You know, if I had a chicken and I had to kill it to eat it, I couldn't do that. So I just thought, if I can't do that, I shouldn't pay someone else to do it on my behalf. But that's not really.
I just think socially and psychologically, if we express to children, it's no different than he was 16. You know, it's his father, and I asked him to go clean his room.
Yeah.
But we feel better doing this too.
He's
Yeah.
going to attempt it.
Yeah.
But we feel better mentally and
No matter how
physically.
old we get as grown-ups, if you tell someone, no, you can't do this,
More like to
They're
do
still
it.
psychologically,
resistant. Yeah, I know,
it's
I
a
know.
resistance.
That's why we don't do it that way.
As we're discussing here, I'm telling you, no, I'm not giving up meat.
I'm on-
But
I'm-
in
I'm
moderation,
respecting
I'm
too.
gonna
We're not trying to convince you that way.
Scale it back.
Yeah, I'm going to cut back and cut back
Vegetables
until
one day.
eventually it's not something that sustains me, that keeps me psychologically thinking that I need this.
It's a journey. It's not. It's just 10
It's a
years.
journey. It took me 10 years. But he's doing it by example,
Ultimately, I
and so
know
is he.
I'll die eating meat,
Yeah.
okay?
That's fine. I wouldn't tell you or expect you to change it. I'm just going to speak the truth of the matter for the world. You know what I
And
mean?
he's trying to be an example because what he's done in his life athletically, if you knew what he did, what did you win? What did you win, Timothy?
No, we don't need to go into.
No. I want to tell him because I want to show that what you're doing is the way you're doing it.
I'm a free runner. I don't do that parkour.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
seeing movies.
I won world championships and things like that. I don't know.
Yeah, so because that's his way of doing it instead of telling people in their face.
No,
And he's a
that's
really
beside the
fast
point. I don't
runner.
know. I just think if I put a cow here and we were like kill it and you can eat it, no one's going
No
to
one
kill
can
it.
do it.
Yeah. So.
Although in a luau they do it with a pig, and I can't believe they do it.
Also,
Some
you
people
have,
can.
you have to think of the concept
Sam, we
of
have to go.
psychological profiling. It's like you're a runner, but you're also conscious of the world around you. Me, I spent time in combat,
Yeah.
so death is an inevitable thing to me. I view death as an apprentice. It
Yeah.
comes under me like an assistant. I look forward to it
Whoa.
because I've seen the negative side of life.
Yeah.
The positive side of death is you don't have to fear that life anymore. So that's why I say it comes under me like an apprentice.
But then I just don't think that's your
It's a
duty to
positive
deal that
and
out
it's
to
a
others,
negative.
though.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I respect it and I can accept my own death, but then I don't feel it's my right to take it from others if it's not a necessity.
See, for me, the change is not telling people that we have to do this. The change for me is teaching people, voicing. It's like, even though I'm not for or against, I'm not on the fence, I'm still going to continue to eat meat. So it almost says I'm against. But at the same time, you understand that I see your point of view. And that's the acceptance that all people need to take. They need to see a variety of different human beings and understand they all have different views and points of opinion.
Right.
And if we can accept that, then we can learn to tolerate and cut back, scale back, continue to modify. And then once we get to that point, we can make a balance of natural society. Will it always work? Never. We're always going to continue to construct and fight and disagree.
I think once we stop eating animals, there'll be a lot less fighting on the planet. I think what we do to animals makes it a lot easier to do to humans.
I'm not religious, but even the Bible, the writings of the Dead Sea Scrolls, it talks about the sequential taste of blood in the flesh of a man and what it does to him as far as violence.
And exactly. I became more peaceful, but it's like when you can see someone slit a cow's throat, it's not that far from someone beheading in Afghan or wherever they're doing beheadings. You know, it's like if we stop doing that anywhere, that it would just scale it back. It makes it a lot easier to swallow when we can see what we do to animals.
It's
we can
making
do it
the
to humans.
temperament. It's like this. It's why social media is such a negative force. Even though it's a positive, it's a huge negative. It's because when our children see that someone is killing someone else on live television, it's giving them the resultant idea that it's okay to do this to an animal.
Yeah.
Because it's a less feared creature among us. In other words, we put animals below us.
Well, it's like fighting with someone less than your size.
Right. But the whole thing about that is when you put that into a child's mind psychologically, what you get is that child never fears or sees another species as an equal. It's no different than being racist. When you see someone of color,
Yeah, it's speciesism.
yeah, you're still being racist even though it's an animal.
Do you kill spiders or do you catch them in cups and put them outside? Or like when my mum told me that lamb.
Depends on the spider.
Where are you from?
Australia.
They have big ones out there, huh?
Those like to crawl in bed with you and make sure you don't wake up the next morning.
Right, exactly.
There's some species of spiders
That's
that like
survival,
to
though. I
say,
think survival is a different discussion.
right.
Yeah, survival's different from.
You have to look at a lot
Yeah.
of these animals we don't eat. Why don't we eat them?
Why don't we?
Because a lot of them, we can't kill them.
They're not domesticated like cows.
No.
We eat the
It's
most
because-
placid animals,
it's
don't we?
because,
The ones that don't fight
like-
back.
Right, exactly.
There
I
are
know.
certain
It's
bugs-
not a fair fight.
There are certain
Not a
bugs that
fair
you can
fight.
eat that will keep you alive for years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, this
But
man
there are
actually
certain
came
spiders you can't
and
eat
sat down next to us and we were talking about being a
they
vegan.
will kill you.
And yeah, so that's how this organically happened. Just to let you know, if you couldn't hear it, it was because we're outside. Okay, we have to go. Sam.
Just like man has made the survival for the natural ability of his species. And so, with
I think
that
we've got
mind-
more in our nature to love animals, to be compassionate. We feel it in our stomach when we see an animal killed. We feel a certain pain when we see
I
them
didn't.
suffer. We connect with. We've got apathy now, you know.
But
empathy.
we're
Still
losing that apathy because of social media, and that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah,
Social media allows us to put crazy in your face.
yeah.
All the wackos and crazies that want to put anything out there that they feel or deem is okay, it's right there in your face, handed to you on a platter. And these children see that.
I think you feel more connected
And
to
they're,
people, though. They feel
they're
less smart.
corruptible. They can be
People are
corrupted.
so combative even behind the scenes, and then if they were to do it in people's faces, they wouldn't be able to do it. So I believe in being a shining example and not ever telling anybody what to do.
Right? That's because people live in fear.
Right.
And then
And they become an avatar and they don't even show their face.
Society, but I will use American population, American television. Okay, everything is about fear. Live in fear. Dress this way. Go here. Do this. Don't take those pills. Take these pills. This is good for you. This is great for you. Don't eat that sugar. It'll cause cancer. But take this sugar. It's okay. The problem with it is for the freest country in the world, they live more in fear than any country I've ever seen. Social media adds to that. Media adds to that. The democracy of media today,
I have to
even
go.
around the world,
I have to go
everyone
pick her up.
adds to that flavor. They
Well,
all just want to.
Tim, it's been a pleasure. Alex. Bye, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.